the wake of 9/11, America had thoughts that the security of the nation was not strong enough. Terrorists were able to commit horrible acts, and the government had done nothing to stop it, because they didn't know about their plans until after the fact. Because of this, President George W. Bush signed the Patriot Act into action a few weeks after 9/11. The Patriot Act allowed for increased surveillance capabilities for the government to specifically fight terrorism. But since the act was hastily made, there are major problems in it. I will primarily be talking about what abilities the Patriot Act grants, how it has created problems with innocent civilians, and its effect on the government. One term that will be talked about a lot is an acronym FISA, which stands for Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Agency. All right, for the abilities that the Patriot Act grants. The Patriot Act allows for roving wiretaps. According to David Kravitz of ARS Technica, roving wiretaps allows the nation's spies to get a warrant from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court without having to identify the target and allow the government to tap a suspect's line as he hops from one device to another. The Patriot Act also allows for lone wolf surveillance. According to David Kravitz also, he states that the lone wolf provision allows the government to get a warrant from the FISA court to electronically monitor someone, and the government doesn't need to show that the suspect is an agent of foreign power or linked to any kind of terrorism. Finally, the Patriot Act allows for search warrants not to be shown to individuals until a later date. According to the ACLU, delayed notice search warrants, or sneak and peek warrants, allow investigators to enter an individual's business or dwelling to obtain limited and specific information for an investigation, and notify the individual of the search at a later date. The Section 213 of the Patriot Act overturns the 7-day rule and instead allows notice of search warrants to be delayed for an indefinite, reasonable amount of time. FBI agents over-abuse this ability to conduct sneak and peek searches by conducting searches on non-terrorist related cases. Remember, these abilities that have been given to them is specific for terrorist activities. Kerry Johnson of NPR states that we're now finding from public records that less than 1% of those sneak and peek searches are happening for terrorism investigations. They're instead being used primarily in drug cases, in immigration cases, and some fraud cases. This shows that with the ability to conduct these sneak and peek investigations and searches, the government is abusing it, and therefore there's some problems. The Patriot Act allows the government to conduct searches and surveillance on Americans that breaks the Fourth Amendment, requiring a probable cause with this. For example, Portland attorney Brandon Mayfield sought the ruling in a lawsuit against the federal government after he was mistakenly linked by the FBI to the Madrid train bombing that killed 191 people in 2004. This also shows that federal agents overuse their power given to them and try to hastily convict people without enough evidence. NBC News states that the report said federal prosecutors and FBI agents had made inaccurate and ambiguous statements to a federal judge to get the arrest and criminal search warrants against Mayfield. Section 702 of the Patriot Act collects data between non-citizens and citizens. This means that even if us citizens are talking to someone outside the United States, we will immediately start being tracked. This happened in May of 2015, where FBI agents arrested a man named Xiaoxing Shi, a Chinese-American professor at Temple University. The government claimed he was a Chinese spy for speaking with people in China. The government dropped the charges 4 months later because it appeared he was merely contacting colleagues. Along with this non-citizen and citizen relationship, there are also racial targeting and spying with the Patriot Act. Spencer Ackerman of Wired states that the FBI is teaching its counterterrorism agents that mainstream American Muslims are likely to be terrorist sympathizers. A prime example of this happened when there were 5 Muslim Americans who were targeted. They were all very They are all very good citizens, some even being veterans and parts of government officers. Glenn Greenwald states that the 5 Americans whose email accounts were monitored by the NSA and the FBI have all led highly public, outwardly exemplary lives. All 5 vehemently deny any involvement in terrorism or espionage, and none advocates violent jihad or is known to have been implicated in any crime, despite years of intense scrutiny by the government and press. Because of these new abilities, the Patriot Act reduces checks and balances in government oversight. Crystal Ayres of Vitana states, judicial oversight was reduced, allowing law enforcement to take action without needing to get permission from the courts to do so in some cases. Along with this, the Patriot Act reduces the use of constitutional principles. The Institute for Social Policy and Understanding states that the Patriot Act ushers in a new system of government secrecy and a corresponding abandonment of the constitutional principles of, among others, due process, privacy, and equal protection.